Great. How are you? Good. How are you? Send my voice. Oh no.
Do you have Diane sitting somewhere specific?
That's all right. Just need to be more intimidating that way. You can sit wherever.
It's kind of, I think it's just exciting about folks and that's what it does. There's no block behind why people sit for their.
Far away from Brady.
Random thing is aspect. Okay.
Are you standing over there?
If you need anything like that, just let me know.
I will, thank you.
And Bobby, I need to text you two maybe just for a little bit after this about the cooling center stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's about that time. What else do we want? Let's see. That would be a good thing. Okay, good deal.
I'm gonna change. Cause
All those working, I guess.
yeah, you got that. That doesn't work.
Two participants. Okay. Yeah, we'll cover what we have.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome, everybody. Yeah. How about if we just go around quickly with introductions? We'll just start up here. We're down the table and we have two people online, I think. And then folks in the back can introduce themselves as well, too. I'm sorry, what?
Diane, will you please come in?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so we can begin.
Oh, Julie Ray, community member.
Today the library was revitalization.
Amber Hanson Ward with White County.
Diane Honest with Provoking Hope.
Bobby Davis, American Legion.
Julie Schumann, Churches United for West Valley.
Okay, we have some folks in the back.
The sheriff's office. I lost my voice.
Okay, well, we appreciate you taking that table.
Just in case it's catchy.
And I'm Nick Quintino,
And I'm Heidi Bell. Thanks for coming, everyone.
and we have two folks online too. So would you like to just share your names? First names will be good.
Oh, just one. Yeah,
Just one? Okay. And if you don't want to.
Hi, I'm Jessica Helms. I'm a community member.
Betsy, is that correct?
Jessica.
No, Jessica.
Okay. All right, good deal. So with that, just before we start, a reminder about the ground rules up there, we have to keep those posted just in case they keep us posted. And I violated one of those last time, so I'll remind folks again, make sure that your buzzers are off. And this one's off, at least it's supposed to be. So we'll see how well we do. Other than that, that's just to keep us on track for the meeting. But everybody should have received a copy of the agenda. Call to order. The key points from the last meeting, and Deputy Walters, I kind of summarized your key points. You said more than this, but just the key ones are what we put on here. That keep people housed before the slope starts.
Ready?
Because once you start, it gets steep. And then the focus on the community to make sure we don't lose sight of them and make sure they need as we deal with the issues that we have. Let me ran through a bunch of potential resource center locations, and that will show up again later on. And after that, we talked about some of the requirements from either the city or organization as far as administrative and facility type needs that we thought might be appropriate. And Diane gave us a nice, thorough presentation about the Bucking Hall, a little bit of background and history, and some of the work that we've done, some of the services you continue to provide to those who need. And she's also willing to help us do that locally here in town, I'm sure. And we emphasized we have to meet every 2 weeks if we have a better chance to get this stuff. So that's what I recall from the notes that I have. Is there anything in addition to that? Okay. And for today, we have basically 3 main topics, and we'll try to do these in order. And I bet we'll start with the refinement and selection of locations and organizational requirements. And this has an added factor that in today's meeting. I think in working with the city council, was it last week?
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, last week's meeting. They want to maybe take a look at this because we had started, as we discussed, other meetings with a broader scope, and then kind of got narrowed down. And they don't want to lose sight of that bigger picture. But in order to be successful, they thought, well, if we can work on the resource center in this window between now and May, then that will allow us to bring up those other topics and maybe chase those a little bit more clearly. But in order to get where we need to go, we thought that would be the way that would help us be more successful with this time of year. So that's what we're gonna do. Everybody's okay with that. And if you wanna stay with us, that'd be great. And if you feel like this mission for providing the resource center is all you wanna do, that'd be fine too. But we like everybody and we like what you do and your energy. So that's where we're headed. Okay, so it's kind of easy why we listed these here because it's kind of a checklist for us. So if we can go back and looking at short-term and long-term, I think if we focus on the short-term location, what we'd like to do is come out of here with a short-term location for the resource center at the end of this meeting. And then we'll talk about services available and schedules and staffing and start dates. But to do that, we'll need a plan. So, with what we have here, we have the American Legion, Nazarene Church, US Bank in the future, 127 Mill Street, that's the house across the road.
Yep.
Okay. The blue building, wherever that is, I'm not quite sure what that is.
It's actually tan, I went by it.
It's actually what?
Tan.
Okay, well, we'll change the blue into a tan building, there you go. Okay, good deal. It's still in the same place, I'm
What is that? Oh,
Empty building
where?
next to the vet.
Oh.
Okay.
It's tan, it's not.
And US Bank is not, would not be acceptable because the bathrooms are upstairs and there's no elevator.
Oh,
So I think we can strike that one.
Okay. Good, well, that-
Can I ask where was provoking vote before when we were in Sheridan?
we were in the odd bill.
And that's not available anymore?
Okay, and then we talked about the old library sometime down the road, kind of longer term.
Like if we build a new library.
Future, yes. But you know, it's good to keep it in mind. It's a good location. Any others? Do you have anything else that you thought how you want to talk about those potential locations?
Somebody had brought up to me recently that the Adventist Health sadly has closed its doors in Sheridan. And so the Adventist Health building, which is over on South Jefferson. I think it's Jefferson and Justin Street. My memory is serving me.
Kind of over this way?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Regarding that building or
No,
another
regarding
location?
another location closer to home.
And nothing else has been mentioned to me to report back.
I think you have that. You know what I really wanted to share with us? Thought you had one more place.
Oh, yes. I'm like, I don't know. I had thought, just to get going, just to get going in the very early stages, you know, this room can be used as well. So we do have the shades that pull down, we have secure internet, and we can close these, and then we can make sure that nobody's using even the other space to give the most privacy. But if you just really just need a little space to talk to somebody and secure internet, well, there you go. Get started.
So we don't have any criteria or ranking process designed to figure out which of these might work?
Well, I have another suggestion.
Yes.
The city owns the really bad house on the corner here.
Mhm.
And I know that we've talked about using the other house, but it would need major remodel to it. But I think an option would be to tear down the one that's in such bad shape and just bring in a modular. And you would have you'd have a kitchen area, you'd have your the ADA requirements would be met. And in the long run, in my experience of construction and also of remodeling, it would be cheaper.
Correct.
That's
If we
the
did.
mill, that's the, what, okay. What's that address? That's the 127 mill, okay.
the
So
icky
she's
one.
talking about
I'm talking about
The other one.
the corner house.
Is-
Okay.
So what is that one?
Is that Morgan or is it Middle?
Monroe?
Morgan?
Monroe. It's the, on the corner
Monroe.
here, Monroe. I can never remember. Morgan, Monroe.
Hold on.
Let me just capture these. We talked about city was one, right? And then Adventist Health.
And sorry if this was already mentioned, but, we're just, this group is just trying to help you guys find a location. You guys have funding to be able to pay rent and all of that, so this is just a support to try to find a location that works for you guys. Okay, cool. Is there any parameters around that we should be thinking with around financially, how much you can afford? Are we, or anything like that, rent wise or lease or whatnot?
Right,
The least amount you can.
right. The Untitled Suite, I think it was about 200. So we paid, I think it was 215 or something like that. So that was giving them some money toward the increase of the utilities, and some money for the space, and I think some portion of the other.
So 215 a month.
Yeah, that's what we were paying.
Okay, so you'd like to try to keep it around.
Yeah. And how long ago was that, when you guys were still at the field? Do you remember what the year was?
We've probably been gone was before COVID, when we shut it down.
I would assume, and maybe this is not right, but I would assume that would probably put out the commercial buildings in the running, so we probably need to just look at the non-profit ones. Unless someone wants to be really nice and donate a building.
Right, and, you know, the other side of it is I would need to, I don't make decisions independently, so I have a CFO and executive team, participants who would need to help me decide if indeed there is money in our budget, you know. So knowing and understanding what the suggestions would be, but we are a nonprofit, and we pretty much spend out what we take in.
Did you say 245 a month?
15 is what we were paying then.
So for the Monroe Street one, the city would have to pay to demolish it and then put something else there, so unless there was agreement on financially on doing that, that might also be out of the.
And how many days would you 5 days a week? But
And probably like 9 to 4 or something like that.
But if they did demolish the building and bring in a modular, there would be multiple rooms, and so it would be, there'd be space available for other entities.
When this group as usual is like way ahead of the headlights, you're picking down the road, which is kind of fun. Because usually you have to motivate people. And that's what you're doing. So they're all good ideas. The thing that I think might help us is to maybe look at, like we had talked earlier, let's focus right now on the short-term needs and not lose sight of these. Okay, and I think if we do that, here's what I'm thinking, the presence of provoking hope will buy a lot and do a lot. So I'm kind of rolling the dice that that's what's gonna happen. And then once that happens, then other people in the community will say, oh yeah, it looks good, things are improving, and then that will help build some momentum, I think, and some support, and council will be a little bit more inclusive, maybe spend some money to tear down a house and replace it, or whatever. Come up with some way to help offset the cost that we know is gonna be there. Because that long-term deal, I'm not sure there's a long-term one that's cost-free in our list of options. So let's not lose sight of those, and I'll take this list that's on this agenda, and for today's meeting, when we get done, we'll just add those to it, so we keep them for down the road. But if we can focus some energy now on short-term options, I think that'll be one accomplishment, and then we can look at, short-term days and staffing and services. And if we get those two, that would be really good, then we can focus on, the other item that we had on here for today, and that's public information, and how we're gonna try to roll that out and get that into the community so people know what's going on. People don't like surprises, because you know how it is, they make up their own news if they don't hear from us. We might wanna talk about that too with the council. At the council meeting, we talked about having them be like the official spokesperson for this task force. So that when we get done, these kinds of things might be similar to what shows up in the bulletin board or somewhere that says, hey, folks in the community, guess what? These people are still at it, and here's what they did. Here's where we're going. And then if you have any questions, call whomever. There'll be a number and a name. But that way it'll steer them away from talking to each other while they drink beer at nighttime. Whatever happens, I don't know. There's one source, and this one source has a contact name and number, so it helps dispel rumors. That should work, I guess.
There's been somebody here that volunteered for that.
Yeah. Okay, so with that in mind, what are our best short-term options?
City Hall, American Legion.
Okay.
They're begging us for be hard to have that for cooling station though.
It's true.
What was that?
Right now, there's the designated place for the cooling center in the summer months.
Okay, well, hang on.
And you still could have the need for cold weather too,
Yes.
because we're not out of that yet.
We don't have that set up in Sheridan, and it's gonna need.
Yeah, that's part of our long-term goal.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that in mind, does that seem as evident to everybody here as it does to me what the real option is?
City
We
Hall.
have a choice of one, right? Makes it easy, no voting.
Is that happening?
So the reason, I guess, short term, I didn't understand, so the reason why American Legion wouldn't work is because if it's a designated
Cooling.
It'll be full
cooling
of people,
center.
not exactly a lot of privacy for people coming
And
in.
there's no, I haven't been inside in a while, there's
Come
no
visit.
like separate.
There's only one separate area, the office area, and that's got all Legion stuff in it and everything, so.
Okay.
I mean, my space isn't even enclosed.
Okay. So that sounds like two legitimate reasons to consider this place. Because it seems, this is pretty turnkey. There's restrooms here, there's security here, internet's here, doors, we can subdivide it if you want to.
Yeah.
Both of these, right? Yeah. Well, it seems pretty simple. Now, if the rest of this goes like that, we'll go home early. Okay. Well, that's a decision. I guess we can mark that down, right?
And this room would be open during that time, there's nothing else that's conflicting with it.
Every day, Monday through
Monday
Friday.
to Friday.
We will have to think about that, how to do that part. I think like 3 days a week would be best to get going.
Yeah, and I can understand, and
Although I really like the commitment of 5 days a week.
yeah, was that a short-term commitment or is that your long-term goal? Is to be here every day?
Yeah.
Is that right? So is this a short-term as well, too?
Well,
That's asking a lot, I guess, is all I'm saying.
so, I went back and pulled the numbers for 2023. So you guys had, during that period of time from Sheridan, you had 35 people who came for a one-time a week meeting at our building in McMinnville. And so if that many people were willing to travel all the way into McMinnville, I think you probably would have 35 people trying to, if you were thinking about using this room, you'd have 35 people who would say, if I can meet my CRM there, in Sheridan, why would I travel all the way to McMinnville? And initially, but I'm positive that probably would double with the getting the word out and making people familiar with the fact that we are now once again located in the Sheridan area. So, I could imagine that it could jump to 70, 70 people.
You could send
Very-
that many just by yourselves.
Yeah, very, very quickly. Just based on the history that I know.
When you do the meetings with the 35 people, are those during the evening or during the day? Those are still during the day hours. Wow.
But it's, I'm afraid there may be some misunderstanding. It's not 35 people in
Not
one
at one
group. It's
time.
Okay.
eight
35
person people.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yes. thank you.
35
Total.
individual, unique people who come once a week is the way we pull this statistic. So they usually get set up to be meeting with the CRM once a week. Now, if they're if the need is larger, and sometimes it is, they'll set up twice a week to meet. But for the most part, it's one time a week, because if they're in the path to transforming their lives, it's not just provoking hope they're meeting with. So they may come here, meet with their CRM. Their CRM is going to get up, transport them to ICAP, transport them to DHS, transport them to a primary care provider, transport them to a dentist, then the next person's going to come in to meet with the other CRM who would be sitting here. So it's kind of like this rotation, constant rotation of people coming.
So if you started with 3 days a week and saw 15 people each day, you get 45 weekly visits, which is slightly more than what you have, probably not enough to meet the need. Would it be a good starting point to get a footprint here until we can get further?
Right, I think it would be. And when we first started at the hall over there, I think we started out at one day a week. Pretty soon they were in overload, then we went to 2, and then we went to 3, and eventually we were there 5. Provoking Hope is already familiar to individuals who are living in Sheridan or in the West Valley, because my sense is when the people in Willamina find out that they can stop in Sheridan
And not have to
and
travel.
not have to travel all the way to McMinnville, that's probably going to be an indicator also of the increase of individuals. So
Be a good way to start, buy us more time to get a bigger location, build the excitement that you talked about to get other partners on site more frequently. And I hesitate to use the word pilot this because it sounds like you have a very established program, but just sort of see how it is gonna work in practice and not just in theory.
right.
So we have some lessons learned when we do get to a bigger facility.
Okay, so just so I understand what I think I heard, we will use this facility. That's a done deal, so I'm gonna write that down. That's what we're-
Yay! Right?
While he's writing it down, sorry, so that I fully understand. So let's say it gets promoted more, that this is available. What should we say that this is a resource for? Can it be, I know that your primary focus is substance abuse, but is there can we say including wraparound services like support for housing, support for diaper, I don't know,
Well,
whatever the other things.
Medical's a necessity. There's so many out there that have nothing.
So is the correct term wraparound
Wraparound
services?
services.
So it could be, while their primary focus is substance abuse, they also provide, let's say if you're a single mom and you need help figuring out how not to lose your apartment,
Right.
that you will know the resources. And so, okay, Okay, that's really exciting. And, I mean, maybe this has already been done, but once you do, this is probably going ahead, sorry. But once this does get started, maybe with the food boxes, since what the deputy was talking about is hitting at the guys that might be more at risk. And if you have food insecurity, you might be more at risk of housing insecurity. Maybe we can do a flyer that could say, Provoking Hope is coming back. They also have wraparound services, and here's the details, and that could be a good way to start getting the word out also specifically for Sheridan area.
Can I clarify, those wraparound services are only for people with substance use disorders, right? So if I don't have a substance use disorder, I would not necessarily,
No.
not
So,
I-
so,
I didn't
you know,
take it
in the initial days, that was definitely, it was a substance use disorder organization, but COVID changed that. And so, you know, reading statuses yesterday or the day before, you know, people are coming to us because they know they can, their life is upside down, whatever that cause is, their life is upside down. And they don't want it to be upside down, and they don't know how, they don't know what to do. And so they come in, and usually the first word out of their mouth to the intake assister is, I don't struggle with substance abuse, but here's my story. And we are not going to turn anybody away.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna work with, so, you know, a large portion of our people are houseless people.
You'll see me a lot, I'll bring them over.
Right. And single moms and single dads who have the children and are struggling with how to make that happen.
Good, okay.
You know, I would want, I think, for the future, to have that family program that's in the brochure available here, instead of having them to have to come all the way there in order to get that.
So you see,
It is totally wraparound, and sometimes what they're getting is they're coming in, they're getting a socialization. They're not even meeting with the CRM. They're coming in and they are socializing with people who are not going to try to push drugs on them or hand them a 40 to drink, you know, to take care of their problem. They're coming in there, they're getting a hot meal every day. They get, you know, coffee, they get socialization. And sometimes that's the need. The need is just to be able to have a safe place to go and know that they're going to be okay and that it's safe.
so someone from Sheridan could come here, meet with the representative and be able to know, okay, here are the options for me in town, and here are the other options for me out of town, and here's how I could potentially reach those options, and maybe connection with like Head Start or the hot meals or whatever that. Okay.
So it sounds like all of those services in your brochure is what your goal will be.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how soon you want.
Right.
Well, and I just don't know, and I think when we
Right.
talked about that information, we need to be able to be explicit. When people say, what are you gonna do?
Right.
So I just need to make sure that we all understand what that is.
Right. So anybody living in Sheridan who wants to come and have a person who will walk, whatever the situation is, whatever, and I hesitate to use the word, but dysfunction comes in all forms and fashions. And so their lives are upside down. Maybe the husband has been disabled. You know, if a husband has been disabled, the family is in a dysfunctional state because now we've got one parent that may not have anything at all to do with substance or alcohol. It may be that he was injured on his job, and now suddenly the income is half or a fourth of what it was. There's children in the home. The mother couldn't afford to go out and get a job. She's never worked. You know, we have people who come with that kind of scenario. And so we walk with them, you know, just helping them figure out what's the next step. Where's the next place I can go? Where's the clothes closet that I could get clothes for my kids, because now I don't have money to buy the clothes. So just individuals who need services wrapped around them, total wraparound, no matter what the wraparound is. You know, we picked somebody up from ICU yesterday. He had one shoe. You know, so the two CRMs who met him at the exit door of ICU took him and got him a set of shoes. No, two shoes, one for the left foot and the right foot, and got his prescriptions picked up for him, and, you know, things like that. So those are the ultimate. The ultimate in my mind is to provide the services in the brochure.
Okay, so let me see if we can get it. So really, it's that full wraparound is described in the brochure. Is it a safe way to capture it?
Right,
Okay.
yeah. So all of these services that are in here, you know, maybe the person is houseless and is struggling with keeping their medication for their mental health disorder, keeping their medication taken on a regular basis because they're houseless. And so we have a space in one of the Hope houses. And so that person can be taken by the CRM, introduced to the application, they fill out the application, that goes to the house manager person, and that person makes a decision that yes, this person can come, because through the lack of medication, they could use a drug, you know, an illegal drug to maintain what they feel is a balance in their life. So we don't say no to those things. Instead, we try to find a solution to be able to wrap that strong solution around them.
And the CRM is what, again?
Certified recovery mentor. Certified recovery mentor. They have to have 2 years clean and sober to be for Provoking Hope. That's not the state level. The state says you don't have to have any clean time, but Provoking Hope says you must be in recovery 2 years. And they have to have done the first 40 hours of the certification program, which is an education to be a CRM, peer-to-peer specialist. And then they have to do 20 hours every 2 years of added education. And so it ends up being, it quickly gets to the 80 hours of professional training that they go through.
Just a couple things came to mind as you went through that. I guess I had heard, but I'm not sure that we had any discussion or decision about short-term number of days you were thinking of trying to be available here.
Short term, how many?
Yeah, in the
CRMs?
short term until something becomes more permanent. While
Okay.
we're working here,
Mhm.
how many? I heard 3 days, but I'm not sure it was.
That's my, yeah,
That's when the room will be available 3 days a week.
she's got, I can spend 3 days.
Okay, and the only
It's a pretty active space, but we make accommodations.
Yeah, the only thing that came to mind is, I don't know what you have for pre-existing commitments for this room, and it may complicate available days. It would seem to me that you'd like to have consistent days of the week.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this
Consistency
with your
is
existing
important
schedule.
for them.
Traffic can shut, so maybe this is that and then the other things.
So as long as it's not a logistical hurdle, it'll derail the effort.
Right.
That's all. Okay, so is that's fair to break down
Yeah,
3 days
and I
per
know
week?
my staff is very excited and supportive of this, and so it's a big priority. to
So one of
get
the
something
questions,
going.
one of the questions that I want to put out on the table. You know, we've always kind of been a standalone. Even when we started, we were in the basement, but it was our space, that little 350 square feet space. And I just, we say to people all the time, and the officer is sitting here, so please don't take this offensive. The only thing that came to my mind when you mentioned this is that people are afraid of the heat.
Mhm.
And they might view City Hall as being the heat. They don't want to go into the courthouse, even if they're not going into a courtroom. They don't want to go in the courthouse to pay a fine, or they're petrified that while they're in there, somebody's going to come for them to cuff them and take them away. They don't want to go to HHS because HHS looks like a government building.
No government anything.
Yeah, so they don't want really anything necessarily to do with something that looks like it belongs to the government because they're fearful. And that fearfulness is trauma that they've experienced in their past they did the crime and somebody came to find them. A lot of times that is the experience. So I have no idea, how much public traffic would come into this building. I don't know.
I mean, from that concern basis,
Yes. Yeah.
and I'm sure that you might have experienced how you resolved that in the past.
I can head
other
underway.
locations with that set of factors. How did you guys address that to make it more comfortable for people who are resistant?
By saying this is not heat.
Okay.
And they understand that language when you say, okay, there's no heat here. And you're safe. You can come here. You can't come here if you have a warrant. And that's one of the questions on the intake is, do you have known warrants outstanding? Because then the process becomes, no, I'm not going to pick the phone up and call the police, but listen, let's walk over to the police department, or let's walk over to your probation officer. I'll go with you. And you can turn yourself in. And, we say that to them, and then we do it.
Mhm.
And when we do it, the POs are so shocked that this person is actually turning themselves in that they go, well, this is really kind of a new process for you. And because of that, I'm not going to take you into custody. Now, I'm not saying that happens all the time,
Mhm.
but it's a rare occasion when we go and even push the button at the back door of the jail and talk through the speaker and say, hey, this is Diane, and I'm with Provoking Hope, and we have, Sally Joe here, and she's got a warrant out, and she's here to turn herself in. What? And so then being able to, I have sat on that step at the back of the sheriff's department at 12:30 at night with individuals because they called and said, I'm ready to turn myself in. So that piece of it, I kind of worry about. And we've always tried to avoid the appearance of being anything that represents government in our buildings. We're in a strip mall.
Yeah.
The family program is in another strip mall. They feel safe coming to those places. So I'm not saying it wouldn't work. I don't know if anybody has a thought or an opinion about that. I would be open to hearing that.
It's open.
All right, I'm not offended at all.
I am.
Yeah, I sound rough. But I had the same thought too, that people might be hesitant to come into a government building like that as opposed to a totally removed area.
So I'm wondering, I went out last time went out and saw those modules that are in that back parking lot of the church, I can tell you that they would have the same feeling about a church building.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But,
That's interesting.
but the modules on that back of the parking lot at the Nazarene are not attached to the church building at all. And there's a fairly large parking area.
But there's no water or
There isn't.
bathrooms there.
There's no bathroom, so there's something that would have to be done there to bring that in, which would be a cost. But someplace like that already has,
And she's willing,
yeah,
Pastor Rachel is.
And that could be, the next step, could be over there.
Yeah.
It is gonna take a little bit of an effort to get the plumbing all set up.
So, if I could be so bold as to engage with Julie. I'm just wondering, like, your experience in this town with your traditional 12-step group. Do you have a sense, just from being a part of that meeting, how folks would maybe respond?
I think for sure there's gonna be some people that don't wanna come to City Hall unless there's some sort of guarantee they're not gonna get, arrested, which, I mean, that could happen anywhere.
Exactly.
But, I do think that some people would probably come, and I think it would be more word of mouth, like a few people come, a handful of people come in and they have a good experience and they go back out and report, hey, it's not like that, it's a lot better, and it's just temporary. And I think remembering that it's just temporary and reaching for that goal of, say, the modulars, which would be incredibly ideal. It's worth a shot, if there's no other place available.
Is there an entrance to this building other than that one?
Well,
I mean, is there like a back door?
there is a back door
Back there.
at the kitchen, at the little kitchen area by the bathrooms. You can use that one. There's even a parking space right there.
Well, I'm just thinking coming
So it
in
looks
the
different.
back of the building, maybe less stress also.
Almost jarring.
I mean, coming into this feels very formal and legal.
I can understand.
You might be able to help. Lisa and I, everybody, a lot of the homeless know us. They come and they ask for things. I find out, and she is just as much as I do.
I would
more
walk
so.
them right in this building.
Yeah, that's,
And
we
I don't
take
know
them
what
in.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened since COVID, but my experience working in law enforcement, no, Joe, it's okay. You turn yourself into, you push that button at the police station. If you have a warrant, they're going to arrest you. You might be able to call the probation officer or the court and say, look, I have this person here. Could we set up a voluntary appearance? And that may work, but, maybe since COVID, things have changed, but, I've never known an officer not to arrest.
Right, at the
somebody if they haven't
jail,
had
they
one.
definitely get arrested. I was talking about the probation department. So walking into the probation department to a probation officer, they don't have the compellingness that
Right.
a police officer
Well,
has.
They can arrest.
They can, but they can also choose not to.
Right.
Whereas if you're pushing the bell at the back of the jail, they're gonna go in and there's a warrant. They will be taken.
Say one of us would probably walk somebody down.
But yeah, I don't have a problem walking anybody in, and I try, to help Bobby, and I don't live far from her, but, I walk for exercise, so, I'll be happy to walk anybody down here that needs help, I would love to see, clothing and stuff like that made available, and, I know,
That's in the future, I think.
no, but I know for right now, if somebody were to say, we need size such and such clothes, we could put that out there and I can guarantee that somebody would make that available.
We can send them down to Dorothy too.
Right. Or Dorothy could say, we need these sizes.
Has to say Bobby sent me though, remember?
Right, Bobby or Churches United.
Yeah, Churches United, but Bobby sent me, then
But
she'll
even if
help
you
them out.
put it out on social media, I mean, I know people that if we have it, we'll give it, you know.
Right. Referral, I think is a big, it is a big asset. So we refer, that's why we take people to other locations, and every agency that we collaborate with refers people to us. They say that when they come, they say, so-and-so referred me here. Probation refers people, judges refer people, and, you know, so getting that word out to all the places that we currently are receiving referrals for, so that they have top of the mind understanding that, hey, this is a Sheridan resident. And, you know, so maybe somebody is a DHS involved and the caseworker knows that PH is now in Sheridan. And that caseworker becomes the referral source, and they say, hey, did you know Pro can help us out in the Sheridan area, and how would you like for me to send a referral? And then we could reach out through the family program system, then we can reach out to that individual. And we do a lot of outreach. I mean, probably 50%, at least maybe 75% of what we do is considered outreach. And that's how word of mouth gets spread, because then they're sitting in a 12-step tradition meeting and they're talking to somebody about the things they're struggling with, and that somebody has gotten help from PH. So then they say, hey, you should go check out PH.
And it sounds to me like that personal connection with a person, not just the organization, but the name.
Yeah.
You know, so-and-so sent me.
Yeah.
Has a lot of weight, because they trust, you know, people that personal contact has a lot of weight. Just beats
Which
down.
is what Bobby is saying.
Yeah. Yeah, Bobby sent.
Bobby said, so it must be true.
To walk out here with me.
Yeah.
And I will, yeah, we'll take turns walking them down.
Oh, Lisa, or Jessica? Probably been waiting.
Oh, sorry.
So I have a question. I guess I'm struggling to conceptualize somehow we're gonna really reach like our homeless population, right? Because with a resource center, like the way the Dallas Center is set up, right? They have multiple employees, so there's kind of a revolving door. So you could have more than one person come in and there's kind of like a waiting area. Whereas this setup to me sounds more like individual case management counseling type setup, where we're having to have like appointment times and we're helping. So like, I guess I'm just wondering, how are we navigating that gap between, like, how do we know when the homeless individuals can be walked down to City Hall by Bobby? Like, how are we keeping track of that? What does that look like? What happens if we have people who just are stopping in for, like, I just want a pamphlet, but there's somebody who's already meeting with the person from Provoking Hope. So I guess I just have some questions about like that piece of it.
So, you know, I can't speak to how that would function here. I can only speak to how it functions in McMinnville. So, one of the business fronts, the only thing that happens in that business front is the lobby. And sometimes there's 50 people sitting in that lobby. And they're, you know, that's what they're doing. They're just there, they're visiting, they're having a cup of coffee, you know, they're getting a piece of fruit out of the basket. It's their safe place to come to. So it's more like a navigational center in that way, where people are free to come there. You can come there and we had a guy who sat there yesterday I talked to the director of operations at about 9 a.m. and at 5 p.m.
he was being transported. He sat in the lobby and conversed with people and participated in the noon meal all day long. And people can do that all week long if they want to. They can come and be there and again socialize. And so that was really and truly the original concept, was just to have this very large room where people could come. And of course it was 350 square feet, so it wasn't that big, but people would just come in there and hang out. And it was a safe place to do that. So they weren't going to get in trouble, they weren't going to be breaking the law, they weren't going to be being hounded by their drug dealer who wanted them to get high. They weren't going to be yelled at by the neighbor for parking their bike on the sidewalk and sitting on their lawn in their personal property lawn. They could just come there and be there. Sometimes we would put a broom in their hand and say, hey, why don't you go sweep the sidewalk for us? Hey, why don't you dust the high ceiling, get the cobwebs off, you know, and they feel like they become a part of a place that's safe. So I don't know that we could do that here.
And we do it down there, they just stay naturally. She's great with keeping everything going, because I'm supposed to be there for veterans, but, which I am, but this is great at, and they kind of like show up and hang out.
Yep.
And one guy fell asleep.
Yeah.
So if you were working out of here,
Yeah.
this could be the personal space for the CRM to work with someone one-on-one, and for now, the meeting, the fellowship area
Yeah,
would still continue to be
get
at the
somebody
Legion.
down there.
And in perfect world would be a space large enough to, because at the Nazarene Church down there, there's the one room that's already being used and there's 2 rooms left.
Right.
And even then, it would be tough to set up for more than one CRM to meet privately with anyone and still have a meeting area room.
So one of the things, you know, that so there are no private rooms at Provoking Hope because we're not counselors. So to even say that that's not what we are peer-to-peer support people. And there's a big difference between that and a counselor. So we don't have, and we do that on purpose. We talk the same talk and language that they talk at the individual coming in. We try to remember not to use CRM and, you know, instead call it out for what it is, because they don't understand even what a CRM. And they may say, you know, I go see my counselor at Provoking Hope, but we're not counselors, we're not clinical, and we are going to take them to get counseling. We're going to take them to a clinical person, because that is what they need for the clinical side of the work that needs to happen within a person, because they need to have a counselor that they can learn to understand how they got to where they are. But what we give in the peer-to-peer is we give lived experience. I was an addict. I was houseless. I know what it feels like to be rejected by my family. I know what it feels like to be incarcerated. I know what it feels like to feel like I'm worthless. And those are the elements that they share. That makes it very different than counseling. A counselor is there to meet the mental health issues, to talk about, you know, the core issues that they're dealing with. And that's not really the role of a peer. A peer is there because they have the same lived experiences and because they're now here working in the field, they have that, they are the evidence that you can change your life. You can make a choice. You can change your life. You can be empowered to make the decision, put down the bottle, put down the addiction. It won't be easy, but you can do it. Or if it's somebody who isn't addicted, I'm the evidence. You know, that's what a peer would be saying. I remember being, you know, feeling helpless, feeling hopeless, and now look at me, look what I'm doing.
So does that answer the question that you had initially?
Yeah, I think it does. I think I have some follow-up questions though, in that, so if like, we're gonna use the Legion, right? VFW as a place where we're kind of having this open room where people can come, it's a holding room type lobby. Do we need to have someone there? I mean, I think that's maybe I know Bobby's there all the time, but is that too much of us to say, like, you're gonna be the person all the time? Is there something we need to have, like a designated volunteer who's also helping run this? Like, I just, you know, when we have two buildings and we're transporting people from place to place, I think logistically, yeah, just some questions pop up there.
We do have a new member with the, and it's the American Legion. That, and he has got he's been homeless, he has been incarcerated, he lived out in the streets in a larger city, and helps us out. I mean, he's really life's getting involved in this stuff. That's why he's real positive. We included him with the homeless thing, and he's very supportive. And there's going to be a new commander at the American Legion that's going to be a lot more open about this sort of thing. But I think having somebody from Provoking Hope, I mean, even just when we're doing lunches and stuff, just to talk with the guys would be great, because we do have them. They come in, and you have to feed them, so that coffee's always going, and there's always a snack available for them, and they know this.
I have a question. Since it seems like American Legion it's already, what is the main reason why it can't be used for this? Is it because now they don't need a enclosed separate?
There does have to be.
Yeah, there does have to be at least
Like,
one.
can it be like a divider? Like, you know, could we just find some way, you know how you can create like some separate space?
A lot of people
like
don't.
Partitions, like, so it's like a separate
people are very
office.
uncomfortable letting when they finally get down to asking for help, they want to make sure that nobody's over on the other side that's listening to this stuff.
Right.
I have the same thing with the veterans. When I have to do the claims, I have to use the office because they don't feel like having everybody hear some of the things that have been done to them. So that is.
But there is an office there.
There is an office, and
if we found, you have all the storage there for files, right? I'm just trying to think, because we're trying to create a new space that might have some more issues, and we already have a space that they go to, that they're comfortable with. If we could do something to make that space more workable, even if it's like,
well,
what if
like
we got?
her, I have to answer to an executive board.
Oh, and so the main thing is they don't want that.
I don't know.
thing.
I think that stuff has to be approached. We only, we usually meet just once a month, but we all talk together and stuff. And I think we get new officers every year.
Okay.
So our elections are coming up, and the new ones that are coming through, I think, will be more open.
Does this fit your
And when
mission statement?
Our mission statement is working with veterans. We've got a big old mission statement this long. It's hanging
So
on the
only
wall.
a portion
But
on the veterans.
No, but the thing is one of our missions is to be a part of the community, to help the community, to reach out and assist whenever we're needed. That's, to inoculate a sense of volunteerism and Americanism.
Oh, I got it. So it's engaging the veterans to also be helping. Okay.
Right.
I think
Can I just make one point?
Sure.
Bobby is there 2 days a week to serve like sack lunches for anybody that, comes in for it. So I don't know that he is there 5 days a week to help everybody. That's
Well,
Well, I do have somebody else that can do it too. And
Yeah,
it's all,
but
you know,
can you guarantee they'll be there like 5 days
Raymond?
a week?
Yep, and that's
I
kind of what we
mean,
need to
it's-
go. The coordination, if that's the route we decide we need to go, we need to make sure that the same days and their staffing.
I mean, I just would like to have somebody
Because you're already busy, right?
sometimes, yes.
So,
Yeah, I nap, all right?
but that's what I was thinking. We need to make sure that we're on the same page.
Well, and the other thing is, not all houseless people have SUD issues, as not all SUD individuals have houseless issues. So, you know, I think deciding, so the services that are provided, sounds like 2 days a week,
Yeah, for now.
may include people who are having SUD issues, who are also houseless, but the community at large that's suffering, dealing with SUD issues, but live in houses. You know, I mean, they-
Okay, I'm sorry, what's
Not
SUD?
substance use disorder,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the American Legion might not fit everyone because more of the walk-ins there are houseless and
Correct.
what your services
Right.
are. And that,
Not that houseless people don't walk through our door, because they do.
yeah,
Yeah, we
But-
get houseless. We also get, we get a number of people that are just running money-wise. They're right on the edge and they grab, can I have extras? Yes, go right ahead. Just, we'll make more.
so the American Legion provides the sack lunch and like clothing. And
Clothing.
you guys are right near the food bank, which
Mhm.
provides that. I guess that's also kind of why I like because it's just like keeping it, and also in the downtown core, which is not too close to residential. This one is not really close to resident, well, not really, no, not so much, a little bit over there,
I
yeah.
think there would be less resistance among the people that would use whichever place, going to the Legion rather than coming to City Hall.
Okay, and community wise,
I don't think it's gonna make much
I don't think it'll
difference.
make,
They're
I
gonna
think,
complain
I mean,
regardless.
I don't speak for everyone, obviously, but I kind of think both of these options are gonna be more supportive than something that's like maybe right in the middle of a residential or right near a school or something. Absolutely, kind of near a school.
And if the Nazarene, the outbuildings of the Nazarene Church were used, that's on the edge of town, and there's not gonna
That's
be
true.
much there. However, that can't really play into the short-term fix, because there still has to be water
Yeah.
and things.
Short term, it seems like the absolute easiest would be here. Maybe the Legion also, if.
Well, you
could
figure when it
out-
starts getting, if it's hot this year like it was last year, we're gonna be in there anyhow.
That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Although I have set up, you know, noisy room and quiet room, because I'm in the quiet room and I don't want it noisy, but yeah,
So
they'll
when
be
is-
there anyhow.
When is the election?
Actually,
Come on, something.
no, March, April, it'll be in
Okay.
April, because we have to be the whole, you know, blah, 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 I swear, blah.
Okay. And you would still need new insurance? Yeah, you would,
Well-
because
well,
you're flying under
actually,
the
that's-
radar
I
right
think
now.
the insurance for the cooling center would cover.
Yes, it would.
Yes, I know,
Oh,
but they don't have it right now, and they're just flying under the radar.
Well, they just come in and visit and hang out, you
I
know.
know.
I mean, with the veterans, there's never a question. But the thing is too, if we do something insurance-wise, if we do something, and this is a post function,
Mhm.
this is the post that's helping people.
Yes.
Because it's the post that's helping them that's usually covered with the insurance.
Hmm.
They honor, for liabilities, they honor if it's a post function or if it's a different, like if somebody somebody will come in, I don't know, I'll have to check and see, but yes, when we have the cooling station, it'll have, they've already picked out the insurance and
Right.
already said
Yeah.
yay on it. and
But if, okay, never mind, sorry.
We also have veterans that kind of come in and hang out, because what else are we gonna do? We're bored.
Well, I was just curious, so you have the upstairs too, but there's no way to get up there, right, if you're ADA or have mobility issues?
Right, we've got the stairs going up and, I mean, it's got railings, but even I come down kind of slow.
Mhm.
And I balance things.
It's such a beautiful, I mean, so much potential.
There's a lot of
Does
potential.
that mean that you can't do anything because it's not?
I don't know, that's a question for the group. I mean, I don't think it's easy.
I think the open to the public thing, I'd have to check it and stuff, but I think with open to the public, it is when it presents a problem. Now, if you've got people that are fine, you
I'm
can't
wondering
limit them.
Does it have to be, I answered my question, an elevator?
So it seems like we're drifting in longer term and we need to kind of.
Yeah, that would be a longer
A little
term.
over an hour, a little more than halfway done, but we have certain things done that are.
Would it be silly to say here for like a month until until the elections or whatever, and then maybe, sorry, maybe our next meeting, we could do a open house thing. I mean, like, you could
You
show
could
us
do an open
around,
house.
so we
You could do an
understand.
open
It's all
house
real.
there.
Actually be able to see what we're talking about. Maybe we can come up with better ideas, actually being able to see it, but in the short term, this would work.
How much time do you need, Heidi, to find out what 3 days a week would work for?
I just need Yvonne and I would just need to talk.
Okay, so it's something
Yeah, and
that
I
we could
need to
know by the
inform
next meeting.
City council, yeah.
So do we need, what else do we need to do between now and the next meeting? We need to figure out days that will work for both organizations, right? And that's 2 weeks away. Will that be okay?
Yes.
We already know the services that you had described, so that's good. We know the temporary location. And we keep wanting to go long-term, which is good, but it's not helping us right now. So,
Here it is, temporary.
Yeah.
Probation, there's a probation officer that meets here on Mondays in the police area. And I don't know, that's something for you to think about, if that's how that looks, you know, for the government and the heat and all of that, or if it's people that can also come in and get some service, right? So I don't know if there's a crossover there or not, just to put that out there. For people who have a lot more experience and knowledge than I do in stuff, I can tell.
So I'm trying to think how these days, we're still looking at 3.
I have Tuesdays and Thursdays because a year ago when I started all this with the veteran, I'm the service officer. And so I would be there on Tuesdays and Thursdays so veterans could come in. They knew I was there. They could come in and get any kind of, they need help with this. They don't know why they didn't get their disability, all of that. And that's how it started. And then I'm kind of like having my own way. So I started giving out lunches. Don't giggle. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And kind of bullied the commander into letting me do this. And it's turned into, you know, people just come and hang out. I mean, it's either nice and cool, or it's nice and warm, or at least it's dry.
Get great service.
It's
Bobby,
great.
that back office you use
I use
for
the
meeting
I
with
have the
veterans
front.
and stuff.
No, I
For
have the front, only if they have a need. I have the front. I've got a little corner
Yeah.
carved aside for me, but I don't have walls or anything. And a lot of times you really don't need the walls, but if I've got somebody that's kind of like, well, we'll go into the office. We've also used it for people that have to have Zoom meetings. A lot of times you've got a Zoom meeting, because there's a whole nother section. There's the food, usually it's auxiliaries there. And that's where the kitchen and everything is, and it's got doors, so it'd be closed off. And we've had people, just homeless, coming in for Zoom meetings, veterans come in for their Zoom meetings.
So
we
I'm
use that
thinking
office.
about what it would look like, you know where that desk is towards the back? Where,
My corner?
so I'm thinking, is that your, your corner
That's
is
my
here,
corner.
and then, but there's another one here. So what if there was a wall essentially put around your desk area to make that? And so then you would have 2 offices.
So we were talking about that once, getting a wall in. That's why we put shelves and everything that are like so high.
Do
But
we-
yeah, they were talking about that.
Do we want to hold our next meeting to meet at the Legion so everybody can see and talk about the center?
There's some difficulty just.
We just got our toilet working.
Oh,
with
with the,
Zooms and all of
Maybe
that
we can
stuff.
start here and then I'll drive over there for like the last hour of it or something like that.
Well, it's still, I'll have to work that out.
Oh,
Yeah. There's some
public, yeah, we have
public
to like.
meeting stuff. Yeah.
Or we could end and take a field trip.
I don't, that's still right in that.
You're like, you know, if
Making
we
them
just
ideas
follow
and that kind of stuff.
Bobby back there,
I got the key.
okay?
We could officially end here and then
Well,
meet over there.
maybe you could just meet at different points of.
Well, I
the
usually
time
make a
of
pit
day
stop
with
there
Bobby,
when I
like
leave
on
here anyhow.
Tuesdays or Thursdays or even on Wednesdays.
Yeah, you can have lunch. I think we got chili coming up next week, so.
I don't know how many of you, like, I know the building space pretty well.
It's worth a trip though, just to get a concept.
So
We
maybe
can talk
some of
to
you
her
just
all-
drop by and see Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, there's not people there all the time. You gotta sit and watch. And I know who's coming when at a certain time.
Yeah.
We pretty much get our times on who's here and who's not. We've got a couple guys that actually are able to work sometimes, and so we sit and wait until they get here so they can get their
Maybe we
food.
can just email coordinate amongst us on being able to, everyone gets a tour.
I'm there. It's no problem if you just decide to pop in.
So you're there on Tuesdays and Thursdays for sure,
And we have been asked to do Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays
okay?
because we'd be able to hit more.
So, and I'm just trying to get an idea here. Would it work better if Provoking Hope was there on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where if, yeah, I'm talking about some point in the future, because starting here is the first step.
The first thing in the short term that has to happen is we need to make sure that the days are selected that are mutually okay. That's the most important thing, I think, right now. So we're gonna try to do that before the next meeting, come into the meeting and answer and share. Does that work? Okay.
I just really want to think about that probation thing. Do you want weekend at all?
Nobody except Mr. Brady works on the weekend besides the people who are in the
Question here?
That's,
Jessica?
Jessica, yeah.
Okay, this is a little sidebar, but I'm just thinking like resources, right? And even helping people understand the Provoking Hope is kind of coming back. I was at, the McMinnville Community Center I'm there every Thursday, but I noticed last time I was there that when you walk in, they have a really big bulletin board that has a ton of different community resources. And I know we've talked about doing a bulletin board somewhere, using a bulletin board. Would it be beneficial to like even purchase a bulletin board and put it at the Legion with different with like some of the Provoking Hope brochures?
We do
and
have a
the
table as you
handouts that
come
we
in.
got last meeting? Or is there another place that we could have this so that people are kind of seeing it and going, oh, hey, this is there, we can also put like the Devon's Helping Hands free resource, those types of things. I'm just wondering if that's something that we should come back to. As
We
we're
do
doing this
have a
process,
table. As
too.
you walk in the door, there is a table. A lot of the, of course, veteran stuff and everything, but we have started adding more. Every time you guys, the Churches United, we put their stuff down there. If somebody's giving out cordwood during the winter, the information's there.
So you're offering up that space to provide the brochures for Provoking Hope to help people over here?
I'd like to be able to get the guys to understand that they're provoking, because their opinions go both ways. So if I could get to the point where they're looking at it at a positive thing, that'll be something for them to be able to look forward to and help, because I can't always help them as much as they need. That would.
Putting every place where people go, there should be a flyer on that bulletin board, regardless of what the services are. I mean, that is literally the way you get the information around, so the flyers. So like, as an example, we're having this big Easter egg hunt at the vineyard. I forget what they're appropriate, we're Senior Living Center on Hill Road, and those brochures those flyers are everywhere. Everywhere you go, in McMinnville and everywhere you go in Newburgh. That's part of our outreach, drawing attention by having things posted all over the city. Center Market, the library.
Don't forget windows, we use windows
and
too.
windows on commercial, buildings, small businesses. So we do a lot of that in the McMinnville, Newburgh area. So that would be another way, because then individuals who may never come to the Legion may never come to City Hall necessarily, but they go to the market, they go to the gas station, they go to, and I don't know enough about Sheridan to know what is, like, I know there's a hardware store here. So all of those places, getting permission to put a flyer on their door or on their bulletin board, in all the supermarkets.
We did it at Chinese restaurants.
Right,
in Newburgh.
yeah.
Because we do everyone through the Chinese restaurant.
Yep.
Hey, Lauren, we'll get to you in just a second. So what I thought I heard is that you would be willing, in the auspices of Provoking Hope's mission, to do that in town. You just
Right,
need help
because
with
that's
that.
part of our outreach. That's how we get the word out
Okay,
there.
we'll do
Cool.
that.
That,
We can help you with that.
yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, Lauren. Lauren or
I
Jason?
just am thinking, there's the bulletin, maybe our West News, it's my
Yes.
husband's Zoom, that's why, it's not mine.
Okay,
It's his Zoom account.
Jessica.
Is maybe the West Valley Bulletin, can we have like a flyer that we put in there on a more permanent basis? I know Stacy offered, even though she's not on the task force anymore, for us to be able to use that.
So she's been a great asset to us, even when we were in the Oddfellows. But she's always done write-ups about PH and listed our opening times and the days of the week and things like that. So absolutely, we would definitely go for that.
and that's exactly where we're headed next, because I think this one's done. We can be here for a month
Yeah.
and talk about it, but I don't think we need to.
I agree.
But it's perfect, because what we're talking about next falls right in line with the last comment, which is the outreach plan, public
Yes.
information. And there's a couple components of that. This is one. We don't really have a public information plan, but we need one. And that's a component of it, is get the word out through the bulletin boards, either physically or euphemistically in the published bulletin board. Those are two key elements for this community, how people learn stuff.
And if you come up with whatever you're going to publish in the bulletin board, I will get it to the churches in Churches United and the churches that aren't in Churches United, because let's talk to those people and let them know that we're not planning on ruining their property values. That's a big thing, okay? And that even if there's no Christian attached to this, it is a way to do what you should as a Christian. So let's include Churches United disseminating information as well.
And the other part is, I think we're on a pretty good roll. Any other ideas? There's 3 so far.
On what?
Public information ideas, how to get the word out.
And that's,
Well, we'll
Tina
definitely,
volunteered to take on a lot of this role for us.
Okay.
And I think if you want to talk about the ideas you've thought about, but I also want there to be a component about the learning, right? So like some of the statistics or what, just for the general public too. I think that some food for thought.
Like education for the public about what these kind of services help in terms of improving the health of the whole community. Yes, like that. Okay, cool, yeah. I like, oh.
So I think social media for the non-homeless population to show that we as a task force are making efforts, and stop laughing at me, Heidi.
You need some honey tea or something.
I tried the throat tea, didn't really do much. So yeah, I think that's a great way to show the public in general, because we're serving everybody, right? Not just the homeless transient folks. And then if you give like flyers or pamphlets to us, or maybe Public Works. We're the ones actually out there that run into these people. And I'm happy to give out resources, like you can go to this place during these hours and get help and get a hot meal and stuff. I think that would go a long ways.
And we can put flyers in, I'm sure, I'm speaking for Judy now, but I'm sure we can put flyers in the food bank boxes.
Yeah.
That are given out, and we could do it several weeks, not just.
So
one.
like a announcement about what you're coming back, here are the wraparound services. I bet you probably be the best one to be able to speak for all of that. And
We would also include them in our Thursday good food bags to some families.
yeah. And
So
then,
having them see, you know, kind of tag on to what, is it Brady? What Brady was saying. So, you know, having, so social media, we have a social media page. Provoking Hope has that page. So seeing it there and then seeing it, you know, I'm guessing you guys have something social media wise for the city. So having it show there, having it show as many places so that it appears that the effect we're after is to help everybody, not just people who are struggling with their addiction, or not just people who are struggling with houselessness, but we're trying to get the word out to every household that the services are there and they are available. So the churches, if they have a social media presence, you know, being able to link or drop, you know, can do the connection. You know, that's the beauty of the internet, but that is also the beauty of just the physical, being able to connect people and help them understand the full veracity of what the collaboration is between this agency, that agency, and this agency, and this other agency.
And maybe tell the school districts.
Could you get like a trusted community member to do like an op-ed or something? Someone that maybe is not someone that people would expect, if that makes sense?
I would love to see, you know, positive op-ed for the West Valley at large, because a lot of times the op-ed, the opinion, it is not positive, you know, so to be able to say, you know, here we are and we're all collaborating together, and it's for the positivity of the community of Sheridan. So even, I think even, you know, the News Register having a editorial
A letter to
statement.
the editor,
They
if
could
nothing
probably
else.
do an article to highlight the fact that the community came together and built this.
Yes.
both,
Yeah.
both,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Lindsay, too.
We have two hands, huh? Okay, let's get Lindsay Jackson, and then we'll come back to Jessica. So Lindsay, what's up?
Yeah, thank you. And my apologies for being so late. But I was just going to offer, if there's a desire, we're certainly happy to spread information through any of our social media channels. And then and I think someone may have said this, but it was a little hard to hear, but just really involving the school district. I think they have so many connections to families and things. I think that's really critical. And then this is not getting the word out about the actual facility, but we are working on a Health and Human Services guide that is sort of a look at all the different services that Health and Human Services provides. Some of them are in our mobile services are in Sheridan and whatnot. And so when that comes out, I'll make sure that this group has access to that in case it's helpful in your conversations and work with folks. Thank you.
Thanks.
So there probably should be a distribution list. So I'm hearing like create a distribution list. Perfect.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, okay, good, great. And
Yeah, I think this already got said. I was just thinking, like Willamina has a school newsletter that gets sent out. I'm assuming Sheridan has something. I also know our new mayor has connections there. So I was just thinking like a newsletter would be a good opportunity for that for the schools.
I'll put it in the city
goes in the water bills. Good idea.
So when you do get something written up, please forward it to me. I
Yeah.
can share it.
Yeah.
I think my concept was, maybe not necessarily after every meeting, because it's not necessarily that we have, well, probably one needs to be written on up to this point. And then every time there's something that's like a major, thing, I think yes, I think between, Stacy and I, we can come up with what we wanna say. I don't know if you guys are willing or want, but I thought just sending it around at least for one round of everyone's eyeballs on it, just making sure that we're good on it. And then it could be in some format that's like a JPEG and so she could put it in the paper, and then you guys can distribute on all your different connections, whether it's putting it up on social media or including it in a newsletter, that kind of thing. And it's like,
I know you said you didn't think we had to do it after every meeting, but I think if we are consistent with stating something after each meeting and asking Stacy to give us a designated slot
okay,
where it would go, because it doesn't have to be a lot.
yeah.
But when people come to me and go, well, I didn't know that, and I go, well, do you read the bulletin? Well, yes. Well, look on page 3 in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay, so after every meeting and.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I've spent years and years of advertising the backpacks and school supplies, and people never hear about them until the day we hand them out. So.
Yeah, that's good, and even just reiterating, this is the intention of the task force, and, this is what we came up with, and this is the plan, and then maybe even, we could link to, or just say where the best place if you wanna watch it. Joe, like, you put it on every major, so maybe I just say, like, this one that a lot of people, I know, there are a lot of them, but I know that the kind of like the main community one is Communities of the West Valley.
That's on the video.
Okay, good, so I can just say, okay, great, go to Community West Valley, that would be a good, hopefully this will address part of it, but the other part of it is the misinformation and asking the community members, please, if you hear something different than what's being said here, or there's a concern or stirring up, direct them to this. Like, I think the community also has a responsibility to make sure that that instead of like getting everyone like worked up about it, they're actually, okay, here's the direction that we're going, and here's how you can correct the misinformation, that kind of a thing. And then also to what the deputy was talking about, making sure that everyone understands that this is also about property rights and ensuring that we can actually support. We don't want illegal things happening. We don't want, like, I'm representing Sheridan Revitalization. Our group, part of our purpose is to ensure that the downtown is being cared for. And that's why we have a vested interest in this, not because I know it's been communicated just completely wrong, like we're like the homeless advocates. No, that's not at all. Like, no, it just happens to be that we observed what happened to the plaza. This is a situation. We've observed what happens in downtown areas. This is not addressed. So that's why we wanted to be involved in this, so that we can help support the downtown businesses, but also the community members. So I got some great information from the deputy. I'm working on, with a couple of the board members, putting together a document that can also be shared for the property owners. So that's something that is also being worked on as
And I
well.
think, Diane, didn't you I know that you had some information about what it costs to treat people that have hep C and stuff.
Right, so that's those kind of informative, so that they see, okay, so we have a needle for needle exchange, and the blue van tries to, and still comes, even though nobody comes out to it in Sheridan or Willamette. We used to have, so there's a misunderstanding about what, the focus of that is. That's not us enabling people to use drugs. It's us, along with our county and our public health department for this county, which Sheridan Sheridan is a part of, it's to stop the spread of disease that is caught by using a dirty needle, using somebody else's needle to get high. And so it's about $30,000 for one Hep C treatment. And we pay for that as taxpayers. That's where our taxpayer money is going. So helping our community understand that that is a revitalization. That is us stopping healthcare that is avoidable if they have a clean needle to use.
How you
Well,
frame
and
it,
we
so-
pick up too. We do.
Absolutely.
cleanups,
So we've
and
gone
that keeps
underneath
somebody
the
from
bridges
getting
here.
injured.
We go to any place where there's an encampment. You know, I mean, they drive through the community, they talk. If the officer wanted to tell us where to go to clean up, our people would get out of that van, put on their hazmat stuff and go down and clean up the caps, the syringes, the baggies, the cellophane that they use as part of their using techniques. So, you know, that's the other side of it is, and you know, people get hung up on the idea that it's a needle exchange, thinking that we're just handing random needles out to anybody who wants one, but they have to give us a dirty one. You know, you can bring us one dirty one and you get one needle in return. If you bring us 30 needles, we'll give. And we used to have a contact here who got clean in this county, in this city, and we would pick up 1,000 needles a week.
Oh my gosh.
1,000 needles. Just think about that for your community. 1,000 needles from Sheridan. Only Sheridan.
Yeah,
And
30,000 a needle.
Exactly.
Everybody can figure that out.
There's encounters happening too, you know.
Right, they're encountering while they're out there. Their goal is to
Treatment.
get these people, get the individual that they're handing the needles to. They're handing them these brochures. They're giving them information about HHS. They're giving them information about public health. So that is how we're, you know, what we believe our goal is, to move them into a successful recovery away from the needle.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things we talked about, capturing the items to share, a couple things on that. We basically did that with the city council at the last, the meeting after our last meeting.
This last week that we did.
No, that was
Last
when we
Tuesday.
did. So basically, it was just kind of me taking that on.
Smooshing together.
Came up with like these key bullets, and that's all they need to be. This is not a narrative. We aren't writing the Bible.
Right.
You know, key elements. And for example, what I guess the key is, you know, the services Provoking Hope is willing to sponsor here in town are provided for the whole community. That should be the leading of life, okay? And that includes boom, 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 boom.
And leave substance abuse to the last.
Yeah.
Because really, for the
The
bulk of the
stigma.
people, you know, the things they're most concerned with are housing issues, healthcare, senior disability, and when you think about the number of people in our community, the substance abuse is the smallest but most visible problem. Okay.
Yeah, you need some strategy in that public information plan. We need to think that through. But I think we have a good plan for this, and we have very patient people with their hands on it still, right?
I think Lindsay, they put them there.
Are you still, did you remember we talked too long?
My virtual hand got hurt. I'm just teasing. No, I was, Diane, you described all of those things so beautifully. And so I'm not going to add to what you said because you did such a nice job describing sort of those harm reduction strategies and why they're important. I will just offer that in addition to anything that Provoking Hope is sharing, if there's people from my team who do a lot of public communication around these types of services, things from a community lens in terms of this is why it's important for you. I'm more than happy to have them dedicate some time, both in what could be like behind the scenes helping craft messaging, and if there's a desire to have them help sharing that message too, you know, being at events, coordinating events, these types of things, please do let me know, and we're happy to figure out what that could look like.
Lindsay, I think Takesha would really like to take you up on that offer.
Yeah,
So-
I don't speak this language so well. I'm trained in communication related stuff, like that's my forte, but this particular area I'm not, so I'm definitely, that's why I definitely think. I think the plan in my mind is Stacy and I will probably sit down, kind of go over some ideas and then draft something. And then I might share it with maybe you guys first, and then make sure that the wording is correct, and then do everyone. Does that sound like a good?
Yeah, happy to help.
Cool.
Thank you, Lindsay. The other thing that I think needs to be shared is a needs list. Like, we need to see if there are rooms out there, right? Maybe there's stuff already available, so we need to see if there's, and maybe there's somebody that's willing to be a contractor to donate their time to build that, to frame that in, right? That area.
That's my favorite idea. I just think
The
it
needs
needs
list
going.
or they're
gonna need-
oh,
but
I
I'm
mean,
gonna- I'm gonna need a
that's the
window.
idea of like
I'm
what if
gonna
we
need
had
a
someone
window
who's
in my wall.
volunteering, who's willing to do that?
The only thing that I think about the American Legion is the same thing. It's still a government place, you know, and it's got like a big flag on it. But I was scared of it first when I first came to town. Yeah, because it seems very, you know, like it's gonna be like a stringent kind of environment. Like,
We're just a bunch of old farts.
I know, but I didn't know that.
Old
It's
veteran
just
farts.
my perspective. Like, as a lady here, I didn't know what to expect inside.
Meaning it might be intimidating for like, if not, maybe the homeless population knows about it, but the other ones that are, okay.
Kind of like, I mean, it's military,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I didn't
know what it was either.
you didn't know what it was either. Yeah, and I thought maybe a bunch of.
Thought it was like
I didn't know what to
Beige.
expect in there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the other thing, gets back to our agenda item, if you look at the printed one, is, that public information fund references Dallas.
Yeah, that's my
So-
next thing to do.
So that would be really good, because evidently they had a good program, and good
Yep.
information.
I'm gonna
That
bring
would be
them as a topic or as a person, but I think that what can happen, what I was getting to, is that with the communication, you know, and some pictures of the inside, and that really can help change people. There is a couple that is newer to town, and they're really neat people, and they come to the
Oh
chamber.
God, not Raymond.
Yeah, you don't want a commercial? I was thinking we could do a commercial, because they're
Expensive.
offering
We've
to
already-
do commercials. They did an amazing one for.
I can't keep up with them. It's like, you tire me out. Go away.
Well, that maybe is what we need, but
No,
they
he's great.
did a fantastic
Yes,
commercial.
It's
for the
been talked
merchant
about
town.
already.
And so
Oh,
maybe
I
with
like
this
that.
group, we could put together some sort of a commercial and then take the people inside of the Legion is what I was thinking.
Oh.
You ever
Okay,
shake
promote
his
it,
hand?
shake
I
it.
never had a man shake my hand so hard in my life.
Then
He's not, it doesn't have a fish handshake. But he is a Marine, so you have to take that into account.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like,
So
whoa.
to introduce the community, that this is a resource for the community, it's not just for homeless, it's
Yeah.
like
Right.
it's all.
That's what they do. They do
I like that
marketing.
idea.
The
they
American-
do
Good
really great
idea.
Yeah,
commercials.
the American,
Oh.
American Legion at one point used to be a big thing in this town. It was very supportive. They had all kinds of functions. They had all sorts of things back then. Even after the roller skating rink caught on fire and stuff. It's always been a busy place with the community. Over the years, since the Gordon Mafia, it's kind of fallen away. And what we're trying to do now, what a number of us, Raymond's one of them, is trying to do now is put us back where we are a solid part of the community. We're not just out there. And most people look at us like we're out there. Is it okay if I come in here? I'm not a veteran.
Yeah.
I will make you one.
And that, I think that's something that needs to be
Yeah.
stressed, is that
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah,
not
that
just
video is a
veterans.
great idea, 'cause that can be shared everywhere on
Yeah,
social
well,
media.
Raymond's-
and
he's
word
already-
of mouth will start
He's
going.
already coming up with something just to explain the Legion itself and, and go on to, our site.
That's cool.
Yeah, he also helped me unplug the men's toilet.
You should actually meet him anyway.
Yeah, he's pretty. He's got some great ideas. He's got energy.
Very nice one.
You still pick on him. And if you really want his good side, bring him crayons.
Crayons? That's what she said.
Oh, I just learned that about the Marines.
Marines are crayon
I'm
eaters.
gonna cross this one out. I think we pretty much ran the public info plan as far as we can run it today. A lot of good ideas. And even though it may not be legible, they're captured. And I can decode that into English. when we need to
Yeah,
get
I was like, do I have to
No, you don't have to read it.
And he's like, no, I'll do my own notes. I was like, no.
Yeah, that's just been too many classes. So that kind of leads us, if there's nothing else, that'll just lead us to where we're headed for the next meeting. So I had a couple things that kind of left out of me, the green ones. You know, the thing that we're talking about is this, decide which 3 days a week between the two entities will work.
Yep.
Three maybe now, right?
Yeah, 3 years. Especially if we could find a community member to put up some wall, like it's like an L shape essentially.
The other thing we talked about was that we're providing the services through
You're
the
at my knees.
the help with provoking hope for the whole community. You think broaden that scope out? And I think, you know, that theme carries through because it's the same theme that we have from the American Legion. It's for the whole community. People aren't aware of that. We just need to make sure it's up front and center. And we talked about, I think, notes potentially, right? Bulletin type bullets that we can share as a result of each meeting. And we have those that are done. If you wanted to back into all those, what we've done today, maybe take a couple of these key ones and add to the ones that we shared with the council. That way people will know, what have you been doing? Well, I started here, we've done blah, 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 blah. And then we'll just update those, you know, after every meeting. That will work better. So,
That's a big project that you're undertaking.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you to Lindsay's team for
Yeah.
offering to help.
so if you wouldn't mind doing that, we can take a copy of this. And we'll, you know, probably should share this with the whole group before it goes out.
Yeah.
Just so you know, if that's not what we want to do, we'll just make a conscious decision and not back into it and say, shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do that for the next meeting too. How about if we look at that?
Next meeting, we'll look at, bullets, we'll call it, for publication, not to be confused with the other.
Points?
Wow, we have to be precise. So
You
with
also
that,
have to be precise with the other ones too.
well, not if we have enough.
That's called a good shot.
Okay. So anything else that we need for the next meeting? The focus, I think, is right on. The days are one, it's this public information plan, putting together a draft for review based on the meeting summary, if nothing else. And you guys are gonna kind of start out trying to incorporate all of these public information items that we talked about into some structured plan that we can share too. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another one.
I wonder if, once we do come up with like this is the plan for regarding the American Legion, and having an open house there would be a good idea too.
Oh, yeah.
We love having people come over.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
It's great
So people can come
realizing
and see
the
themselves.
freedoms. Yeah.
That would be fun, if you'd be willing to do that, that'd be a good deal.
Oh, yeah, we've done
Bobby
that.
loves a good party.
And I can probably get some volunteers to help it.
And there be cake? No. May I just suggest that, I know that you mentioned the children and churches and such, but there's a lot of elderly people that are not allowed on social media. They may pick up a bulletin, but maybe not read it. And so I love the idea of a town hall. You can have it where like no comments till the end or whatever. We're just here to show you what we can provide. And then maybe have a portion at the end for any concerns, but in an orderly manner. I don't think you need to be afraid of the town hall. Provoking Hope would be a great resource there to explain, you know, why they want to come to the community, how they can help. And I think town hall is a great meeting. I wasn't even on social media till COVID. I was bored out of my mind. I had to join a group, so.
Good point. Okay, anything else before we move on to closing comments and adjournment?
Don says it's time to go.
If, our folks in Zoom land, anything from you? No? Good deal. So with that, we'll go to Heidi and then we'll adjourn and,
Oh, I have to go set the alarm.
okay.
Julie's probably very good at giving.
In just a bit, we'll do that. But while she's gone, just a reminder, the next meeting is April 3rd, and we'll still be here, but we talked about a potential field trip. Maybe at the end. Yeah. And we can just keep that in mind. You don't need to decide, but it would be a fun thing to do. It'd be a little different too, and hopefully it'll be nice.
What did I miss out on? The fun part? You said it's
Yeah,
gonna
we
be
talked
fun.
about the next meeting. Next meeting's here. And we talked about maybe having a field trip at the end. When we're done.
I think people should drop in, just,
Yeah,
not
unofficially.
as a big group, yeah.
Yeah, the meeting will be
Plan to
over.
Make any topics of discussion.
Because we can't do that officially. So we would never do that officially. Put that in the record. We never do that officially.
We like visitors.
Well, just for closing remarks, I thank all of you so much. You're all doing this out of the kindness of your hearts and out of the goodness for the city of Sheridan. You take us into a new direction and to provide hope for so many people that have maybe lost it. So I'm very excited to support this program and get things going. So thank you all so much. Thank you. Julie, how did I do for closing remarks?
Very good.
I always give very good closing remarks. She's somebody to look up to.
I would like to add, Churches United had their pie and dessert auction last Sunday. And now remember that Sheridan is a town of about 6,000 people, 1,500 of which are federal prisoners, and they don't donate to us. But we've been doing this since, I think this is probably our 8th year of the pie and dessert auction. We raised $4,700 plus. And that is the most that we have ever raised. And I'm bragging on this because I want you to know there are really good people in this town. And unfortunately, there's a very few with very loud voices that seem to override so much. You just have to keep moving forward and ignoring them.
I know some of those loud voices.
I don't give them names, that
donated-
gives them validity.
Donated desserts to your event the other day, so.
But-
There are some very members of the
I
loud
think
voices.
some of it is honestly not understanding things. So I'm hoping with the information, with this information, getting the information out clearly, and also asking them, like, are you willing to enter in a civil discussion? We are very willing to actually answer these questions. I just think it's like on their end, there is a responsibility to actually make sure that if they're gonna say information, that it's not like inflammatory, libelous statements, because that's not fun, you know? Or I'm super willing to engage in a conversation with most people, except for if you're yelling at me and saying things that are really not true, and then it's kind of like, it kind of hurt my feelings, I don't really wanna have a conversation, but I'm generally pretty friendly. So,
And I generally like to hear all sides, because nobody's right, nobody's wrong, there's, and there's a middle ground.
yeah, and I don't even think there needs to be sides, this is like we're all community members.
And that is a small group, and pretty much they stay contained to their little group, so, people join this group and they don't have to join, they can.
Also, one more thing is Julie mentioned it's $3 a backpack. $3, 30.
When we buy our, starting with COVID, when everybody was so afraid of passing germs, we started buying our backpacks online and from the company that we used to buy just the supplies from. And they loaded the backpacks for us, and it really ends up cheaper. And it's half the price of what it cost us to buy things at Walmart. But a backpack with supplies for a high school student runs about $38.
And the 4,000 something divided by 30 something, that's a lot of backpacks.
That's a lot of backpacks. That'll pay for over half of what we'll give away this year.
That's fantastic.
We're ordering 250 backpacks this year.
Nice.
for the community.
Yeah, I think we put it in paper and on social media, and sharing it on social media.
This is,
So, and it was good to see you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He attended, and his
Yeah,
wife.
And it was like 300 and something for a raspberry chocolate cake.
That was the one Nadine stuck me, because she's like an excellent
Baker.
Yeah. And if you ever get a chance to get her cinnamon rolls, they're excellent.
All right, looks like we're adjourned.
You know, you're like,
Tomorrow.